Hello and welcome to this episode about pre-jumping, the third core technique in ice cross. And this is the one where I see by far the most potential for riders to improve. And so I hope that by the end of this video you're convinced that pre-jumping is awesome and worth practicing. So let's get to it. Alright, why is pre-jumping so important? Well, by my count, there are only three ways for us riders to accelerate. We can either skate, pump, or we pick up speed because gravity is pushing us down the track. Of course, gravity is the main factor out of those three that's responsible for the high speeds we reach at some of our races. And pre-jumping is the only technique that allows you to increase the time gravity can accelerate you downhill without losing any speed in the process, which makes it a very special and powerful skill, because at any given track each rider has the same amount of elevation to work with as all the other riders. So it's like you have the same budget to spend as everyone else and you have to make the most of it to be first over the finish line. You can increase your speed, but you have to pay for it with a loss in elevation. That's how it works. Lose height and gain speed, or gain height and lose speed. But pre-jumping allows you to cheat this system. It's like printing your own money in a sense. You gain elevation without losing speed. That's why it's so special. You can create a longer, taller ramp for yourself by using your own muscle power. And if you add up all the pre-jumps, it's like you started at a higher level to begin with. Now, of course, there's a downside to printing your own cash. It's very difficult and risky, and the track will catch you if your timing isn't perfect. Alright, let's now move on to the second big advantage you can gain with a well-timed pre-jump. This one presents itself on sections where there's a sudden steep drop-off like this one. There's a nice little pump hidden there that you completely miss if you don't pre-jump. If you just ride over the edge, gravity won't push it on fast enough and you will end up stretching yourself just to get contact with the ice before the landing is gone, which will result in a position that looks like that. And if we remember the first episode about pumping, we can see that this is a bad position to be in because you're already extended. There's no room to open up anymore, and even worse, as you go through the transition, you crumble down because of the hard landing. So it's pretty much the opposite of what you'd want to happen, since you need to be in a tucked position early to get a good pump. And even if it's a section where you wouldn't have any problems if you just ride over it normally, pre-jumping still allows you to put more power into the following pump. This also works especially well over small obstacles where you can just jump over the uphill portion of it and consequently put a lot of power into the downhill part. Now, you won't find a bigger fan of pre-jumping than me, but looking back at some of my races, I should have definitely toned it down a bit with the risk, because a pre-jump doesn't have to be all out all the time to be effective, which you'll see in the next episode when we take a look at some variations and race examples. So stay tuned.